Up South.
Good evening and welcome to Up South. I come to you today from the Chennai studios of Headlines Today. Our top story today is from Kerala, where there is increasing concern over the incidents of rape and sexual assault that have been reported from different towns and cities of Kerala. Today we had reported that a 4-year-old child, a class 1 student, was actually sexually assaulted allegedly by her seniors at a school in Kozhikode in the Malabar region of Kerala. And this is what Social Welfare Minister of Kerala, M.K. Muneer, told Headlines Today.
This incident has taken a big turn now. So there is our responsibility to children. There is a program in Social Justice Department which is we are planning to launch immediately when our responsibility to children come in, that every school will have a precaution against all the evils. So the next step what Social Justice Department is going to take is to spread this our responsibility to children program to every school.
Joining me now from Thiruvananthapuram is social activist Rahul Ishwar, also child rights activist Isidore Phillips joining me from Hyderabad. Rahul Ishwar, to you first, do you think M.K. Muneer is appropriately reflecting the situation on the ground in Kerala? Because if a minister is using such strong words, it obviously indicates how rotten the situation in Kerala is.
Muneerji is not only reflecting the sentiments of a minister but also of a parent. Many parents are genuinely concerned even about school and college premises, where we live in an over-sexually charged society where our media, TV, posters, movies are all unnecessarily and over-sexually charging our youngsters. That's the reason why there is a whole argument of culture against this. So ministry is reflecting the ground reality, ground sentiments, and we should see they are school children. They are accused of raping or molesting or sexually assaulting a very younger girl. That shows how deeply social psychology is affected by the change of culture, change in media, and I think we should think deep about these things and we should fight against it.
Isidore Phillips, one of the things that we are hearing a lot is about parents being scared to send their students to school. In fact, even M.K. Muneer, the Social Welfare Minister of Kerala, actually indicating that there is this widespread sense of fear and panic among parents. What does this really say about the kind of society that we are in right now?
There are two sides to that particular statement. One, as a parent, what he is saying, it's very true. Every parent in the country is scared to send their children to school. So as a parent, he has made a statement, extremely welcome. But it's also worrisome, basically, because here there is a person in authority with the responsibility of all the children of the particular state, with the machinery at its disposal, and a minister making a statement like that is a matter of worry and concern.
Rahul Ishwar, let's juxtapose this, what is happening in Kerala now, this sense of fear and panic, with the Kiss of Love campaign which is undertaken by some groups in Kochi a few days back. Now, doesn't this kind of send also the wrong kind of ideas, wrong kind of message to people at large, especially in the light of the incident which has happened in that Kozhikode school where 2 seniors have allegedly raped this 4-year-old child?
Nobody is against freedom. Nobody is against even public display of affection is accepted by a lot of people, and we are all against moral policing. Having said that, now a protest like Kiss of Love will send, especially by youngsters and college students, will send wrong message to college and school students. They will unnecessarily overstretch the extents of liberty they have, and they should definitely enjoy their liberty and freedom. But they also have responsibility and they also have duty to their parents. They should understand that parents, teachers, senior society, all are concerned about them. And freedom is just an argument, a bogey, so that it can cover up so many things. So we totally cherish youngsters' freedom, but having said that, in a society where even rapes are happening in school, molestations are happening, sexual atrocities and assault on women are happening, we should be more responsible and we should build a society which is more protective of women, which is progressive and at the same point of time preservative of our values.
Rahul Ishwar, thanks a lot for joining us with that perspective from Thiruvananthapuram. Isidore Phillips, stay on with us. There is this development which is taking place in Karnataka, where the Karnataka government has indicated that they are seriously considering a proposal to recruit more female teachers in school. This after incidents where male employees in many schools were actually suspected of actually having sexually assaulted or raped any of the students in many of the schools in Bangalore. And this is what the Education Minister of Karnataka told my colleague Pratibha Raman.
means first standard to fifth standard, he wanted to introduce only female teachers to the schools. He has suggested it have to be considered.
Isidore Phillips is still with us. Also joining me live from Bengaluru is my colleague Pratibha Raman. Pratibha, how does the government actually plan to make this work, and are they looking at it mainly as a short-term measure, or will they only recruit female teachers from now on in schools in Bengaluru and other towns and cities in Karnataka?
Well, Sudhir, at the outset, it does seem like a short-term plan because basically there needs to be a lot of confidence that needs to be restored into the minds of parents as well as children. And considering that, the state government proposes this as the first move that needs to be done in terms of recruiting female teachers, because obviously one too many incidents of sexual atrocities reported in way too many schools, and the prime suspects have been the male teachers or the male staff in those schools. So the first step would be this, and obviously the long-term plan would be that once the effective implementation of the safety guidelines as well as stringent laws are put in place is when the male teachers will get back into the fray of things. Perhaps that has been the plan of the Karnataka state government right now.
Right, Pratibha. Isidore Phillips, the Karnataka government mooting such a proposal to recruit more female teachers. Do you see this as a step in the right direction to prevent any such incidents of rape which have been reported from many schools in Karnataka?
See, I think it's also absurd. I think in one level, if you look at, a female teacher being there reduces abuse on children, it's not proved anywhere. And I think to that level, it's also cause of concern for me to make statements like that. In other words, are we trying to say that if there are male teachers, the abuse is more, and female teachers means abuse is less? Not necessarily. It could be true, it may not be true. To put all our eggs in one basket, to say, let's have female teachers across in all the schools and abuse will go down, that is something that is debatable. Security and safety of children in schools is a larger issue. Let us not take one particular thing and then blow it out of proportion.
Right. Isidore Phillips and Pratibha Raman, thanks a lot for joining us on that story from Karnataka. Now news from Sri Lanka. Sources in the Sri Lankan government have indicated that President Mahinda Rajapakse may actually pardon the 5 Tamil fishermen who were sentenced to death by a Sri Lankan court for allegedly smuggling narcotics in 2011. In fact, they were given time till the 14th of November to appeal in the Supreme Court of Sri Lanka. And this pardon could actually happen, we are so told by our sources, without any conditions, and it could even happen as early as the end of this week. But we have been told that the appeal against the death sentence will have to be withdrawn before the Sri Lankan president can actually pardon and send the fishermen back to India. Meanwhile, Waiko has alleged that it is a cunning drama enacted by Mahinda Rajapakse. Joining me on the phone line is my colleague Shisha Reddy from Chennai. Shisha, we have been seeing a whole lot of protest organized by different Tamil parties in different parts of Tamil Nadu, more notably outside the Sri Lankan High Commission here in Chennai. Do you think that the pressure mounted by these groups has actually worked, or do you think it's a victory for the foreign policy pursued by the Narendra Modi government?
Well, Sudhir, it can be taken in two ways as well. One, in the foreign policy, or be it the pressure had been mounted by these pro-Tamil groups who have been protesting. And remember, the pro-Tamil groups also said that they will be protesting on the day, which is the last day for the Indian government to appeal in the Sri Lankan Supreme Court, that is the 14th of November. But having said that, there have been series of protests. They have been saying that it's a much larger issue. It's not just the 5 fishermen death sentence. It's much more than that. The pro-Tamil groups have been putting a pressure on the centre for a very long time for them to take this fishermen issue into consideration, to make it as an issue, the diplomatic issue between India and Sri Lanka. So now with this, because this also comes a day after India had filed an appeal in the Sri Lankan Apex Court on the fishermen issue, saying that there needs to be something that's been done. But now, whatever Tamil groups have been saying, and very, very clearly pointing out Waiko having said that this is not the way that Sri Lankan government should, come out openly and say such things. But it's much more than what meets the eye.
Right. Shisha Reddy, thanks a lot for joining us there from Chennai. Now, it has been 5 months since the bifurcation of Andhra Pradesh, but both Telangana and Andhra Pradesh governments have been engaged in a war of words. The latest is a very strongly worded letter written by the Andhra Pradesh Chief Secretary, IVR Krishna Rao, to the Cabinet Secretary and the Home Ministry, complaining about the attitude of the Hyderabad police, calling them partisan. And this is a very strongly worded letter which has obviously upset the Telangana government. And they have said that the government of Andhra Pradesh should really mind their own business. Let's listen in to what the Andhra Pradesh government and the TRS government have to say about this.
Same case with the National Institute of Tourism and Hospitality Management. Our Special Chief Secretary goes there and she is prevented by the police force. Police force is in Hyderabad is taking very partisan kind of an attitude. They are acting, I think, beyond their brief.
It is not fair, it is not appropriate, and it will not serve the purpose of Andhra Pradesh state to come and interfere in the affairs of the neighbouring state of Telangana. The states are already decided. An acceptance level has to come. We need to digest that fact and behave as two independent states who are neighbouring and willing to cooperate. We only wish to seek their cooperation. We don't want confrontation.
Joining me from Hyderabad is Mr. C. Anjane Reddy, former DGP of Andhra Pradesh. Mr. Reddy, from the police point of view, now how fair is it for the Andhra Pradesh government to cast aspersions on a professional police force? Wouldn't it demoralize the police force as a result of these kind of comments?
Well, Hyderabad police force is a professional police force. But then they are also answerable to the Telangana government now. Originally it was decided that they would be answerable to a neutral authority, but that's how it is not. They are now answerable to Telangana government. So they can't take, very often their decisions are influenced by what the government says. There's no point in blaming the police force.
Mr. Anjane Reddy, what do you think is really the way out? You have headed this police force. In this particular case, even the Hyderabad police is really not coming out smelling of roses. What would you think should be done immediately so as to stop these kind of instances happening in future?
Actually, most of these problems can be sorted out if the senior bureaucrats meet from time to time. There is no need for bureaucrats to take the police help and involve the police. For example, the National Institute of Tourism or NAC. In these cases, there was no need to involve the police at all in the first place. Senior officers could have come together, they could have discussed and sorted out the matter. If they could not do it, they should elevate it to the political level. If there also it is not settled, then they should take it to the governor instead of involving the police force and putting them in a kind of difficult situation.
G.K. Vasan. Now, the split wide open is very visible in the Tamil Nadu Congress. In fact, G.K. Vasan, who is all set to launch his party on the 28th of November, claims that 30 of the 59 district presidents of the Tamil Nadu Congress have decided to sail with him. In fact, this also includes supporters of former Union Finance Minister P. Chidambaram, and that is likely to be a huge setback for the former Finance Minister.
I am happy that we are able to garner support from all sections of the society. At the same time, the party people from various districts are showing interest in our new party, in our new path. I am happy that continuation of such kind of scenario will strengthen the party in the future.
News now from Karnataka in Bagalkot, where the Nageshwar Temple is an Archaeological Survey of India protected temple. And what has shocked people is the theft of 2 precious idols from this temple. Atir Khan sent us this report.
Karnataka's Nageshwar Temple, over 800 years old, attracts thousands of tourists each month. This protected monument's amazing appeal draws devotees from everywhere. The Archaeological Survey of India, which oversees the upkeep of the temple, has been shaken now by the theft of 2 idols of Saraswati and Durga from the shrine. The ASI has written to the CBI, Customs and the State Police asking them to hunt down the thieves.
They do have a considerable value in the international art market. One cannot really make out the value because how the value is calculated down, they have their own system, they have their own mechanism. But definitely it becomes a big antique. And there are people who would love to have antique in their house.
The ASI is now busy looking to fix responsibility for the shock theft. Experts believe it might be too late.
More than the money, it's the heritage of the area. It talks of the thematics, it talks of the iconography, it talks of the general stylistic, regional way in which these images were made.
Local police in Hassan district of Karnataka have lodged an FIR and are carrying out investigations. Experts believe that only the ASI is equipped to authenticate the idols.
कोई भी व्यक्ति इस तरह की मूर्तियां देखता है तो उसको तुरंत ASI को सूचित करना चाहिए, क्योंकि उनके पास बहुत सारे ऐसे उपकरण हैं जो उन मूर्तियों को पता लगा सकते हैं कि ये वही मूर्तियां हैं जो नागेश्वर मंदिर से चोरी हुई हैं.
Such cases are classic examples of how, due to irresponsible behavior, national heritage is depleting fast and on a very large scale. And there are chances that these two idols may be lost forever. While the ASI squarely puts the blame on its manpower shortage, enforcement and investigative agencies like police, customs and CBI will also have to pull up their socks and ensure that these items do not leave the country and are restored to its right place. With camera person Varun, Athar Khan in Delhi for Headlines Today.
That's it then on Up South this Wednesday evening. News and updates will continue.